been a while. Welcome back to the show. I'm stuck here at work until Monday at this group home I work at, but I wanted to film something for the playoffs really quick. So I wanted to put out shows regularly, at least once a week, but it hasn't worked out. I'm at work a lot, and not just that, it's I wanted to take the approach that all or nothing. If I couldn't do every single team every week, I just didn't want to do any, because I didn't want anyone complaining that their team was left out of a specific show, or I shouldn't have taken that approach. I should have just done something every week. A few teams is all I could have done, but it would have been better than nothing. But live and learn. Next year, I'll do it that way. But I wanted to at least put out something for the playoffs. I'm stuck here at work till Monday, but there was some wood here in the garage at this group home I work at, so I made this little desk really quick and went and bought this extra mic and boom arm. So I just wanted to put out something real quick on my predictions on the playoff games, and a little bit of stats and matchups, and who the opponents will face next after they win, if they win. These are my real opinions. This isn't Mr. Know-It-All stuff. Mr. Know-It-All's in hibernation until next school year, or maybe basketball. I don't know. I don't really do a lot of basketball. Hopefully I'll get more into that this year. But yeah, Mr. Know-It-All's in hibernation for the rest of the football season, that's for sure. These are just my real opinions. Y'all can tell me in the comment section why I'm wrong. I'm sure you will. Before I get into the matchups, I'm just curious on your thoughts on the UIL rule. I don't know why this is in my mind today. The UIL rule about if you have to choose between spring training and 1 or 2 scrimmages. I think that's the dumbest fucking rule ever. If anyone knows any UIL members, tag them in the comment section. You're not going to, but say it anyway. Let them email them. Let them know what a stupid rule that is. These are high school kids, not NFL players. They do this for a living, and then they practice football 24/7. It's their life. The high school kids are young. They need as much practice as possible. It's a stupid rule. I feel like the board, the members of the UIL were just sitting around one day and someone thought to themselves, I want to make up a rule just so I can seem important. It makes no sense. You should be able to have spring training and 2 scrimmages. Just curious on what your all's thoughts on that are. I just wanted to start off with that. I don't know why. That was on my mind today. Before I get started, the comment with the most likes, or that generates the most comments, it'll be up to my judgment, I guess. You get to win prizes. First prize wins this doggy poo. This is the real deal, dude. This is, what other page do you know gives prizes like this? Second prize will win this Flarp noise putty. I dare you to find another page that gives out great prizes like this. I'm gonna start out with a 2A. We'll start out with 2A Division 2, first matchup, Tehanas and Woodsboro. I'm going to throw out some stats too, just from the local teams, because it's available on the Caller Times website. The top 10 in each in certain categories like passing, rushing, tackling, interceptions. They have the top 10 of 3A and 2A together, and then 5A and 4A together. So if I'm doing your team and your players are on the top 10 locally, I'll mention them. I'll give them a shout out here. But the first one we're doing is Tehanas and Woodsboro. I think Woodsboro is the only local D2. 2A D2 team. Tehanas is 8-1. They're outscoring their opponents 307-38. Is that right? Did I write that? 307-38 on the notes I put. Their only loss is a Harper. Yeah, it is right, because their only loss is a Harper, 14-7 loss. Nobody scored more than 14 points in Tehanas, so Woodsboro got into the playoffs 3-6. They're being outscored by their opponents 236-78. How the hell did they get in the... They have a common opponent also. Their common opponent is Pettis. Tehanas blew out Pettis 50-6. Woodsboro narrowly edged Pettis 12-8. This common opponent thing doesn't really matter. This is not going to be a close game. This is going to be a 55-14 type game with Tehanas winning, and the winner getting the winner of El Dorado and Somerville. But that's the only local 2A D2 team is Woodsboro. So I'm going to move on to the 2A D1 now. Freer and La Villa. La Villa's 8-2. They're outscoring their opponents 363-111. Freer's 3-6. They've been outscored by their opponents 295-226. They have a lot of blowout losses. They do have 2 common opponents, Fremont and Kennedy. Freer beat Fremont 35-19. La Villa beat Fremont 42-14. They both lost to Kennedy. I don't know how some of these schools get these schools. Well, there's some districts with only 5-6 teams and 4 teams get in the playoffs. So that's how schools that have 3-6 records and get outscored by opponents get into the playoffs, I guess. But this is gonna be another one. It's not gonna be close. It's not gonna be as bad as the 8-2 versus 3-6 record look, but it's gonna be like a 42-14 game with Avia winning. This is 2A D1. The winner gets the winner of Ganado and Ozuna. I'm gonna run through these things kind of fast. I don't want to keep the videos too long. It's one of the reasons I liked about I went ahead and started doing this again since it's a playoffs and there's only 4 teams in each district. It makes it easier to involve everybody, which is what I wanted to do. Like I said, the all or nothing approach. I didn't want to be making episodes if I was just going to be able to include half the teams or some of the teams, but if you include everybody, it gets kind of long. And but yeah, 2AD1, sticking with 2AD1 still at Fuga and Santa Maria. I mean, I don't know what needs to be said about that. Fuga's 10-0, outscoring opponents 615-51. Santa Maria's 4-5, and they've been outscored by their opponents. Another team that got in the playoffs being outscored by opponents. They're 4-5, been outscored by opponents 237-169. This game is Thursday in Refugio. I know there's also a Friday playoff game at Refugio, but I wonder why Refugio did this on a Thursday since it's their stadium. I guess it makes sense. You know it's going to be an easy win. It gives you an extra day to prepare for the next week. Refugio's only allowed 51 points all year, and 38 of those were to Edna alone, so that they have 7 shutouts. Nobody has scored on them since October 1st when Ganado scored on them. Some of their stats leaders locally in the 3A and 2A, they have the number 7 running back, Isaiah Bland, 781 yards, 13 touchdowns. Caleb Heseltine is the number 3 quarterback locally, 2A, 3A, 1,798 yards, 29 touchdowns. Jordan Kelly is the number 1 wide receiver in 3A, 2A locally, 774 yards and 15 touchdowns. They also have 2 kids tied for first place with 3 interceptions each locally, Jordan Kelly and Antoine Gross. This is not... This is going to be a 77-0 type game where the second half doesn't have like a running clock. That's just it is. If Fuga's not going to have competition, probably it's around 4 when they see Shiner. The winner of this game gets Johnson City and Flatonia. There'll be better competition than this before round 4, but not anyone that's going to pose a threat to Refugio. Yeah, so this is going to be like a 77-0 game with a running clock second half, probably, if they both agree to it. I don't know, but sticking with 2AD1, Fremont and 3 Rivers. This game is at Fremont Friday at 7:30. Fremont is 6-3 and outscoring their opponents 252-109. 3 Rivers is 6-4 and outscoring their opponents 279-204. They have a common opponent in Freer. 3 Rivers beat the hell out of Freer 41-7, and Freer beat the hell out of Fremont 35-12. This is another. I mean, it is on paper. It's a mismatch. Anything can happen. Once you're talking about the playoffs, I guess some kids just turn it up a notch. They get excited about the playoffs. It is what it is. But on paper, this should be a blowout with 3 Rivers winning the. This is another 42-14 type game. The winner of this game gets the winner of. Now, happy birthday. The winner of this game gets the winner of Shiner and Harper. So it's not going to be good for whoever wins. But I think 3 Rivers wins this game big, though. But yeah, sticking with 2A D1, Kennedy and Ben Bolt. Kennedy's 8-2 and outscoring their opponents 255-153. Ben Bolt's 5-5. They've been outscored by their opponents. Another one that got in by being outscored by their opponents 182-116. They do have a lot of blowout losses also. This game's Friday at 7:30 in Ropstown. Common opponent, La Villa. Kennedy beat La Villa 23-6, and La Villa beat Ben Bolt 40-0. It's on paper, and even not on paper, this is probably not going to be a close game. This is like a 35-0 type game with Kennedy winning, and the winner getting the winner of Mason and Schulenburg. Sorry, Ben Bolt. I got a lot of Ben Bolt friends that are going to kick my ass for picking against them, but like I said, this ain't Mr. Know-It-All stuff anymore, or the joking around. These are my serious picks, my opinions. So, but you can let me have it in the comments section. It's all good. All right, I'm up to 3A D2 now locally. Hebronville and Stockdale. Stockdale's 5-5 and outscoring their opponents 239 to 225. Hebbronville is 8-1. They're outscoring their opponents 386 to 130. Hebbronville's only loss is that close loss to Odom. 28-20 was a 28-20 loss, I think, 2 weeks ago. Odom's undefeated though and ranked number 10 in the state though, so that was a good loss. It was a close loss. Could have gotten either way that game. Locally, the top 10 Hebbronville kids that are in the top 10 in rushing. They have the number 3 rusher, B. Salazar, 1,020 yards, 13 touchdowns. They have the number 2 tackler, P. Bias, 106 tackles. They have the number 6 tackler, B. Salazar, with 83 tackles. They have 3 kids tied for first place in interceptions. E. Perez and Garza and B. Cadena, all with 3 interceptions each. This game's Friday at 7:30 in Refugio. Stockdale's not as bad as that, or average as that 5-5 record. Looks like their losses are to really good teams: Natalia, Falls City, Flatonia, Poth, Schulenburg. These are all good teams that they have losses to. So it's hard to. I still have Hebbronville winning, but it's not going to be as bad as you would think based just looking at records. It'll be like a 28-21 game. Hebbronville wins, with the winner getting the winner of Franklin and Danbury. Still sticking with 3A D2 locally, Natalia versus Taft. Natalia 7-3. They're outscoring their opponents 308 to 148. Taft's 8-2, outscoring their opponents 346 to 151. Some of the local top 10 kids Taft has have the number 5 rusher JJ Acosta with 840 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's also the number 2 passer with 2,117 yards and 25 touchdowns. They have the number 3 and number 4 receivers locally in top 10. Efrain Ozuna with 614 yards and 6 touchdowns. And Enrique Rodriguez with 586 yards and 9 touchdowns. Number 9 receiver also Josh Suarez, 506 yards, 6 touchdowns. They got a lot of firepower on the Taft team. Quarterback's a dual threat, obviously, with all that rushing, almost 1,000 rushing yards, over 2,000 passing yards. Taft's 2 losses are only there to the teams that finished first, Hebbronville and Odom. Odom's ranked top 10. Hebbronville, it was a close 7-point loss. Taft should win this game, but it's another game that I don't see it being a blowout. It'd be kind of high scoring, maybe not. It'd still be multiple score win by Taft, I think, but not blowout type. 42-28 type game. I have Taft winning that one. The winner gets the winner. This game's tonight, Thursday, in Three Rivers at 7:30. With the winner getting the winner of Van Vleck and Riesel. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong. Let me know in the comment section. 3A D2 still Poth and Banchetti. I don't have the location or the time for that one. I don't know why I just put TVA on it. I couldn't find it, or I didn't care to look. I don't know. Poth versus Banchetti. Poth is 8-1. They're outscoring their opponents 356 to 73. Shit. Their only loss is a Shiner. Banchetti 6-4. They're outscoring their opponents 292 to 194. But they have losses to like Ropstown, blowout losses to Hebbronville, Odom, close loss to Taft. Poth's really good. Their only loss is a Shiner. I'll rattle off some of Banchetti's top 10 local kids though in the 3A, 2A. They have the number 1 passer in Mark Lopez, 2,226 yards, 22 touchdowns. The number 6 and number 8 receivers, number 6 in receiving, Nick Gonzalez with 579 yards and 5 touchdowns. Number 8, Alex Gonzalez, 539 yards and 2 touchdowns. In tackling, they have the number 7 and number 8 tacklers. Number 7 is Cutter Scarborough with 81 tackles. Number 9 is Jaron Nava with 79 tackles. Poth has some big wins against teams like Falls City, and like I said, their only loss is a Shiner. So this isn't going to be. I have friends from Banchetti. They get mad, but this is going to be like. I mean, you're looking at like a 55-63-7 type game with Poth winning. I got Poth winning like 63-7. Sorry, Banchetti people, but the winner gets the winner of East Bernard and Lexington. So 3A D2, so I think it's the last 3A. 3A D2 still Odom and Karnes City. This one's Friday at 7:30 in Victoria. Odom is obviously 10-0. They're outscoring their opponents 385 to 89. Karnes City is 4-6. They've been outscored by their opponents 275 to 225. They got a lot of losses, a lot of blowout losses, big losses to Three Rivers, Poth. They're just not. This shouldn't be close, but once again, like I said earlier, it just anything can happen in the playoffs, and kids are weird. Kids are weird like that. They can just get up one game and then not another game, but I mean, On paper, and let me get to the Odom's top 10 kids first. So the ones that are in the top 10, stat-wise, certain categories, 3A, 2A. They have the number 4, number 6, number 10 rushers locally. Hunter Dawson with 914 yards, 17 touchdowns. Marcus Martinez with 837 yards, 9 touchdowns. Mark Moreno with 700 yards, 6 touchdowns. They have the number 10 passer, Hunter Dawson, with 816 yards and 11 touchdowns. Tackle-wise, they have the number 3 and number 8 tacklers. Noah Ramirez with 88 tackles at number 3. Number 8 is Dylan T with 80 tackles. I don't have this being like a 50-ish to 0 type blowout, but I don't see it being close. I mean, Odom's going to win this game like 42-14. It should win it by somewhere around that score. But like anything can happen in high school football. But I don't see. I'm just trying to give my best accurate predictions on this. So 3D2, let's go to 3D1. Going with 3AD1 now. Bishop and Edna. Bishop is 4-4. They've outscored opponents 225 to 183. Edna's 8-2. They've outscored their opponents 363 to 179. Locally in the top 10, 3A2A, Bishop has the number 2 rusher, Isaiah Rodriguez, with 1,191 yards, 8 touchdowns. They have the number 7 passer, Manny Pina, with 1,143 yards and 10 touchdowns. Edna's losses are to really good teams, Refugio and Columbus, and they did put up 38 points on the Refugio, so this is another one that's not going to be close. They do have a common opponent in Goliad. Edna beat the hell out of Goliad 41-14, and then Goliad beat the hell out of Bishop 39-20. On paper and in reality, this shouldn't be a close game. This is going to be like a 35-7 game, Edna. Probably more than that. I mean, if Edna put up 30 on a Fugio, sometimes you call off the dog, especially in the playoffs. You don't want to show too much to the scouts in the stands. Is the only reason I only have Edna putting up about 35. Otherwise, I would have it in the 60s. But considering stuff like that, I say Edna 35-7 is my prediction for this one. The winner gets a winner of Jordanton and Blanco. This game is Saturday. I also have TBA on this one. I don't know why I didn't get the exact location or time. It's a Saturday though. Sticking with 3AD1, London and Goliad. This game is Friday at Falls City at 7:30. London is 9-0 and outscoring their opponents 365 to 125. Goliad is 6-4 and outscoring their opponents 324 to 281. I went to the Goliad Orange Grove game. That's the game I filmed this year. Goliad, I mean, on paper and reality, London should win this game big, but Goliad runs that slot T offense that some teams, no matter how much you are better than them, some teams just can't figure it out. I'm not going to make my prediction based on, I think, what if London doesn't figure out that slot T offense and Goliad wins. I still have London. London's still going to win this game big, in my opinion. London has a number 5 passer locally in 3A2A, Ace Navarijo, with 1,473 yards and 23 touchdowns. They have the number 7 receiver, receiving stats, Preston Gonzalez, with 563 yards and 11 touchdowns. They do have a common opponent, Bishop. That's just another. London beat Bishop 56-0. Goliad beat Bishop 39-20. Unless something happens with London where they have, like, some teams, some coaches can't figure out how to stop the slot T or prepare for it because not that many teams run it anymore. I mean, Goliad, Bishop, Goliad around here, Goliad, Beeville. I think Rockport runs their offense on the slot T, but they spread out sometimes. Not a lot of teams run the slot T around here anymore, so some coaches have a hard time preparing for it. That could make things interesting for a while, but just London's a lot better. I don't see it. London's going to win this game 42 to 14, I say. I'm getting a lot of 42-14 scores. And I think someone's going to be a blowout. You have to assume also in the playoffs, sometimes coaches like to call it off because of the scouts in the stands and every game's a do or die. And so, but I got London to win this game big. With the winner getting the winner of Lago Vista and UC Randolph, University City Randolph. Sticking with 3AD1 still, this is going to be a good game. I think this is a game I'm going to go film tomorrow night. Sorry, my friends said I was going to go do the Odom game, but I got to work I'm only getting off tomorrow afternoon for a few hours to go film the game. Then I have to come back to work and stay here at this group home until Monday. So I can't go to Odom to Victoria and then drive back. And so I'm probably going to film this game, the San Diego Orange Grove game. It's Friday, 7:30 at Cabinet Stadium here in Corpus. Both these teams have a lot of kids locally in such stats. Orange Grove locally, the top 10 has the number 8 passer, RJ Valerio, with 1,095 yards, 10 touchdowns. Number 2 receiving yards, Hector Gaza III with 647 yards and 6 touchdowns. They have 3 kids tied for first in interceptions. San Diego does. Hector Gaza III, Sean Maldonado, and Mateo Cifuentes. Orange Grove, top 10 stats-wise locally, they have the number 9 rushing yards. Cutter Stewart, the quarterback, has number 9 in rushing yards with 720 yards and 12 touchdowns. He's also the number 4 passer locally with 1,697 yards and 12 touchdowns. Orange Grove also has a number 5 receiver, Trevor Garcia, with 581 yards and 3 touchdowns. I did go to the Orange Grove. I filmed that Orange Grove Goliad game a few weeks ago. So the quarterback's really good. He has a really good arm. San Diego's not allowing a lot of points this year. Their only loss was that overtime loss to London a few weeks ago, or was it last week? 41-35. Other than that, nobody's putting up a lot of points on them. Bishop put up 21 points on San Diego. And other than that, a couple of teams put 13 points on them. And other than those 3 or 4 games, those aren't high scores either, but everyone else is in single digits. So San Diego has a real good defense this year. It'll be interesting because Orange Grove's quarterback, the Cutter Stewart kid, he's multi-dimensional. He's one of those that it don't matter how good a defense you're playing, sometimes they're just good enough to make things happen. He's one of those, but I still don't see them putting up a lot. I see San Diego win this game like 35-21. I hope it's closer than that because I'm going to be filming it. Either way, I just hope it's a close game, but I got San Diego winning this one like 35-21. Like I said, this one's Friday 7:30 in Cabinet Stadium. The winner gets the winner of Lano. Is it Lano? I don't know. I'm saying Lano and Marion. They do have a common opponent, but it's Aransas Pass, and so you can't really. Everybody blew out Aransas Pass this year. Orange Grove won against Aransas Pass 50-6. San Diego beat them 54-6. It doesn't really matter using them as a common opponent example because everybody beat the hell out of Aransas Pass this year. But yeah, I got San Diego winning this one like 35-21. I hope it's closer than that. It should be a good game, especially for a while. I just got San Diego's defense wearing out Orange Grove by the 4th quarter. All right, we're up to the 4A D2 now. Rockport, Fulton, and Hondo. The Hondo Owls are 4-5. They've been outscored by their opponents, 260. Another one of those teams that gets in being outscored. 4-5, being outscored by their opponents, 266 to 255. Rockport's 9-1. They're outscoring their opponents 534 to 167. They're averaging 53 points a game. I think that's got to be the most locally. These are the teams that I've taken all these notes down on. I don't know that anyone's put up more than that. I don't think Miller's put up more than that. They're averaging about 53 points a game, only giving up 17 points a game. Their only loss is that close loss a few weeks ago to Sinton, the 28-21 loss. Locally, 5A, 4A. These stats now are the top 10 for the local 5A and 4A. The Color Times bunches of 5A and 4A together. Rockport has the number 3 and number 9 rushers locally in the top 10. The number 3 is John Chupe with 1,315 yards and 18 touchdowns. Number 9 with Devin Phillips with 822 yards and 11 touchdowns. They have the number 4 passer with Ace Siebert with 1,716 yards and 28 touchdowns. They have a kid tied for 5th in interceptions with 3, R. Franks. Tackles, they have the number 1 and number 2 tacklers locally, 5A, 4A. Jay Moreno with 119 and P. McAllister with 114. This ain't going to be close. There's going to be another one. It said it'd probably be a worse score if it was in the regular season, but since it's the playoffs and coaches if they're beating the hell out of a team early, they'll take it down, not just second half, and not show too much to the scouts. But this shouldn't be close, man. Even calling out the dogs early, Rockport's still going to win this game 55-7. And the winner gets the winner of Cuero. That's going to be Rockport and Cuero in the next round is going to be good. The winner gets the winner of Cuero and San Antonio Young Men's Leadership Academy. I don't know anything about San Antonio Young Men's Leadership Academy, but I know Cuero has beating the hell out of mostly everybody. So yeah, I got Rockport winning this game big, 55-7ish. I also didn't write down. I'm sorry, I don't know where this. I didn't write down the notes where this game's gonna be at or when, but 4AD2 still Divine and Ingleside. Divine is 8-2. Divine War Horses. That's got to be like one of the best mascot names there is in the state. Divine's 8-2, outscoring opponents 421-198. Ingleside's 8-2, outscoring opponents 333-183. Ingleside's only losses are to the really good teams. Sinton's, I don't know if Sinton is still top 10 in state. They should be. Rockport Fulton should be also, even if they're not. And Ingleside's only losses are to Sinton and Rockport Fulton. Locally, Ingleside has a number 8 passer, A. Jacobson, with 1,194 yards and 15 touchdowns. They have the number 8 tackles, Jackson Mobile, if I'm saying this right, Jackson Mobile with 102 tackles. Interceptions, they have Jay Smith with 3, tied for number 5. Divine has some big losses at Pleasanton, Carrizo Springs. It was a blowout loss at Pleasant. Pleasant has a pretty good team this year. So does Carrizo Springs. They're all playoff teams. It'll be a close game. It's like a toss-up type thing. I'm going to say just to keep it local, but like I said, it's toss-up. Ingleside 28-21. And the winner's in a have trouble next. The winner gets the winner. Wimberley and Navasota. I got Wimberley. Some people even have picked Wimberley to win state, so I don't know. But yeah, I got Ingleside winning this game, but it's a toss-up. But I'll say Ingleside 28-21. Still sticking with 4AD2 locally. 4AD2 Sinton and Bandera. Bandera is 6-4, and they're outscoring their opponents 232-163. Sinton's 9-1. They're outscoring their opponents 489-118. Their only loss is that close loss to Miller. Locally in the top 10, 5A, 4A, Sinton has the number 4 rusher, René Galvan, with 1,157 yards and 19 touchdowns. He's also the number 9 passer with 1,095 yards and 13 touchdowns. Sinton has the number 6 tackles, Jonathan Morin with 105, and tied for second place with 4 interceptions is Joe Cruz. This isn't going to be Bandera has some blowout losses to teams like Carrizo Springs, and even Hondo beat them, and Hondo's just not. This isn't be another of those games where Sinton's in the score. It's whatever their coach feels like scoring before he calls out the dogs. It'd be like a 55-0 game. I have 55-0 Sinton's what I got. The winner gets the winner of LaGrange and Manor New Tech. But at the end of the video, I'll give like a quick opinions on what teams I think are going to make it the furthest this season from each classification. 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A. I'm not going to break down the D1, D2. Just like I said, I'm trying to keep this short. Hopefully you guys watch all the video. All right, now up to 4A D1 locally. As we have probably the most teams. 4A D1, 5A D1. Beeville and La Feria. I don't have the location of this. Sorry, Adrian Salazar. You can write in the comment section where I don't have the information. La Feria is 7-1. They're outscoring their opponents 356-233. Beeville is 4-3. They've been outscored by another one that got in without being outscored by opponents at 285-248. Beeville has a number 4 in tackles. Bryce Foster with 109. Beeville and La Feria already met, and Beeville kind of beat La Feria easily. It was 49-31. I think that game was 49-31. I know Beeville won by about 2 or 3 touchdowns, and it wasn't really that. Some teams, La Feria is a really good team this year, a Valley team, but like as Beeville runs that slot T that some coaches just have trouble figuring out, and it's just always going to give certain coaches problem. It should help that La Feria and them already met each other, so it should be closer this time. But I still got Beeville winning again. I just don't think it'll be as. I don't think it'll be as lopsided. I think Beeville will win again, but I think it'll be something like maybe 35-21. That's what I got Beeville winning. I got Beeville winning again. Just it'll be closer than last time though. And the winner of this one gets the winner of and then passes in Pleasanton. So that's gonna be a tough one again. But yeah, Beeville should make it to the second round at least. So I got them winning this one. Still sticking with 4AD1, Port Lavaca Calhoun and RGC Grula. I don't know how to say Grula or Grula. I don't know how to say it. Calhoun is 5 in score and outscoring their opponents 316 to 247. Grula is 4-4, and they've been outscored by their opponents 179 to 163. They have losses to teams like Kingsville, who weren't very good this year. Blowout losses to Brownsville, Porter, La Feria. Grula's not very good. They're from that Kingsville district, that Valley district that's Kingsville in it, and nobody from there is really that good. I think La Feria is the representative from there. Calhoun's record doesn't look great, 5-4, but they still run that triple option. That it's like that slot T that some people just can't figure out how to stop it, no matter how good your athletes are. You get a coach that don't have a game plan for it right. Our kids are getting confused. Calhoun wins this game easily. Their offense hasn't been what it was the last few years this year, but like I said, depending on when they play, they scored like crazy on Alice. Their offense hasn't been what it is usually. They're still way better than Grula's. So it's gonna be like 55-7 type game. The only bad thing for Calhoun is that they get the winner of Austin LBJ and Lavernia. Austin LBJ, man, they lost multiple kids, D1 kids, to Clemson, Oklahoma, and somehow they're better than last year. They lost their quarterback this year a few weeks ago, and the backup came in. I think he's a freshman, and he's lighting it up also. I mean, last year, LBJ knocked out the 3 of the 4 representatives from the local district. They beat Alice in order. They beat Alice, then they beat Calallen, then they beat Miller, and knocked them all out of the playoffs. And they're better this year. And I don't know. This ain't about LBJ, but just so the locals know who's going to be the team to watch out for in 4AD1 locally. I also didn't write down the date or time for that one. If you know what it is, you can put it in the comments. Not that it matters at this point by the time the video's out, but still. And you all leave comments. Try and leave comments. Every time I make one of these videos, none of y'all ever engage. I want to include things that you all like in these videos also, but if there's something that you think would be more interesting or will get you to engage more, just let me know in the comments section. I will listen, even though I joke and say I'm not going to listen to you. I will listen to your all's opinions. 4AD1 still, we got Miller and Hidalgo. I didn't write. This one's today, Thursday at 7 p.m. in Farfurias. I wanted to film it, but I was stuck here at work. So Miller 7-3, outscoring their opponents 373 to 349. Hidalgo's outscored their opponents 238 to 207. They have a common opponent in Alice. Alice beat the hell out of Hidalgo 49 to 14, and then Miller beat Alice. So it's just Miller locally, the kids they have ranked stats wise, they have the number 1 passer, Jaden Brown, 2,965 yards and 34 touchdowns. Ethan Greenwood's the number 5 rusher locally in 5A, 4A, 1,009 yards, 11 touchdowns. Receiving wise, Miller has the number 1 receiver, Lonnie Atkinson, with 1,353 yards and 14 touchdowns. They also have the number 4 receiver, Jaden Moreno, with 781 yards and 11 touchdowns. This is not going to be close. It's something similar to what Alice beat Hidalgo by 49-14 type game. Like I said, I think Miller probably also call out the dogs early on this one, but the winner gets the winner of Bernie. Is it Bernie or Borney? I never know. My dad corrects me on this, and I still already forgot what he corrected me with. Bernie and Canyon Lake. The last local 4AD1 is Calallen Zapata. That's no need to even. Zapata's 4-6, outscored their opponents 262 to 257. Calallen's 9-1. They've outscored their opponents 370 to 138. Their only losses at Cornerstone Private School. Zapata has multiple losses to teams that just aren't very good, and this game is Friday at 7 p.m. in Farfurias. Calallen has the number 1 local rusher, Epi Hinojosa, with 1,450 yards and 18 touchdowns. The number 10 rusher, Luke Medina, with 809 yards and 9 touchdowns. Number 10 in tackles, Colton Calloway with 92 tackles. The number 2 in interceptions, Alex Q, I'm going to say, with four interceptions. If you know how to say his last name, put it in the comment section. Like that thing they do on Facebook where it says how to pronounce someone's name and it spells it the way it sounds. I really want to know how to pronounce his last name and I can't. Calallen's going to name their score in this one, man. I mean, it's even if they call out the dogs, you're still looking at a 63-0 type game. The winner gets the winner of Somerset and Fredericksburg. Okay, down to the 5AD1 local teams. Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial and Brownsville Veterans Memorial. This one is Friday at 7:30 at Buck Stadium. Brownsville is 7-3. They've outscored their opponents 293 to 200. Vets is 9-1. They've outscored their opponents 433 to 193. They got that big loss to Flower Bluff, though, 39-7 loss. I kind of saw that one coming. Vets kind of got a scare from Alice, and then from GP, and then even from Moody, played them close. I thought one of these teams was eventually going to catch them. Brownsville was hammered by a Harlingen South team that Alice almost beat. So it's this is another one that it shouldn't be close. It should be one of those games where Vets is going to name their score and then call out the dogs whenever they feel like it. So I don't see it being too high scoring, but if you say 42 is not high scoring, but I say 42-7, Vets wins this one. The winner gets the winner of San Antonio Southwest and San Antonio Kennedy. Then we got Victoria West and McAllen Memorial. McAllen Memorial is 9-1. They've outscored their opponents 337 to 194. They won 9 in a row. They haven't lost since week 1 when they lost to Edinburgh Villa. They got crushed by Edinburgh Villa, and I argue this with people on my page sometimes in the comment section, especially the dude likes to hate in the Valley. Edinburgh Villa, some of you need to familiarize yourself more with the Valley schools. Those of you that think that they're pushovers, so we're not at any other level here in the Coastal Bend than the Valley is, other than Refugio. The Valley has teams that would beat a lot of teams. Edinburgh Villa would beat anybody from the Coastal Bend this year. So that's not really something you look at and say, oh, well, they lost to them, so they shouldn't. It was a good loss. It's their only loss, and McAllen has ran off 9 wins since then. Victoria West is 6-4. They've outscored their opponents 416 to 331. The problem with the Victoria schools, and I said this in the beginning, and I think I posted it, and I asked people to comment, like, what's the deal in Victoria? And then I get, they're so inconsistent. Like, I mean, no offense to anybody from there, especially not the players. They beat the hell out of a team, and then they turn around and lose to a team they shouldn't have lost to, or they barely beat a team they should have blown out, or and it's both Victoria schools. They're just super inconsistent. They've been that way ever since they got rid of Victoria High and Victoria Stroman and created that Victoria Memorial team that everyone thought was going to be the juggernaut. Any of you are old enough to remember those great teams that Victoria High Stingarees had, and the talent that even the Stroman teams, Stroman could never put great teams together, but they always had great talent. And when they combined, I think everyone thought they were just going to win multiple state championships. It never worked out, and they ended up breaking up again to the Victoria West and Victoria East, and they've been super inconsistent. I think when it was Victoria High and Victoria Stroman, even though it wasn't named that, the schools were separated north and south. I think High was north and Stroman was south, and so when they reopened these, they wanted it to be a little different, so they separated in an east and west way in the city. But whatever the reasons, it's just not. It hasn't worked out. So it's hard to predict. It's hard to predict. Victoria West could win this game 55-0, or they could lose 55-0. I don't know how to predict with the Victorias, man. McAllen's only loss is to the powerhouse Edinburgh Villa, but it was a big loss. It's a playoffs, so maybe the inconsistencies will go away. That's the way I'm thinking. So I got Victoria win this game like 35-14. CC Vets has the number 5 passer, Elijah Durrett. He has 1,674 yards, 19 touchdowns. They have the number 10 receiver in Cameron De La Peña with 478 yards and 7 touchdowns. They have tied for Cameron De La Peña's first in interceptions with 6, and then they have the number 2 and number 5 in interception leaders. Nick Reyes with 4, Christian Zabzuk, I hope I'm saying that right, with 3, Luke Johnson with 3. I had already done this one, but I left those kids out, so I wanted to go back and get on them real quick. But yeah, back to that Victoria West game. I got Victoria West winning 35-14. If they lose 35-14, I'm not gonna be surprised. The Victoria schools are super inconsistent. Like I said, I mean no offense. I'm just trying to keep it real here. But I'll give them the nod. It's the playoffs, and maybe they'll turn it up and be consistent here. So I got Victoria West winning that one. 5AD1, single 5AD1. So we got Flower Bluff and McAllen Road. This one's Friday at 7:30 in McAllen. McAllen Row is 7-3, or they're outscoring their opponents 305 to 153. Flower Bluff is 8-2. They've outscored their opponents 396 to 135. Flower Bluff has a number 3 passer locally, 5A, 4A, Nash Villegas with 1,982 yards and 17 touchdowns. Receiving, they have the number 6 and number 7 receivers, Isaac McElroy with 589 yards and 6 touchdowns, and Wyatt Elwood with 570 yards and 5 touchdowns. Rowe has a good win over a McAllen team that's not that bad this year. McAllen had a pretty good team. McAllen and Rowe started out pretty good, then they lost a couple of games, and they had some good wins, but they lost to Brownsville Veterans Memorial, so that kind of, even though those, some of their wins are good, and their San Benito loss was close, losing to Brownsville Veterans Memorial is not good. For Flower Bluff has the best. Flower Bluff has the best defense locally for me. Taking away their first half of the game against GP, they've been solid all year defensively. I don't see McCon Rowe putting up many points on them, especially while they could put up in San Benito was 20. I got Flower Bluff win this game like 35-7. And the winner gets the winner of San Antonio Highlands and Eagle Pass win. And then last but not least is the Gregory Portland and McAllen game. That one's Friday in Portland. It's good to see Gregory Portland back in the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs for 5 years. I got friends from there. I give them a lot of shit sometimes about not making the playoffs, but we go back and forth. But but really, I'm happy for them. Gregory Portland's one of those teams that you need them to be good locally. It's always good when certain teams locally are good in the playoffs. They're one of those teams that has that tradition, so they need to be back in the playoffs. McAllen's 8-2, and they're outscoring their opponents 315-186. GP is 7-3. They're outscoring their opponents 390-195. Their losses are good losses. It's Bernie or Borney, CC Vets and Cal Allen. Stats-wise, locally in the top 10, Gregory Portland has the number 2 rusher and bats with 1,351 yards and 13 touchdowns. The number 6 passer, Brandon Redden, with 1,613 yards and 20 touchdowns. Interceptions, number 5 is Jay Durham with 3 interceptions. Receiving, they have the number 8, number 9 receivers, Carl with 570 yards and 6 touchdowns. At number 9 is Dubose with 558 yards and 5 touchdowns. Tackles in the top 10, they got Soto with 104 and Mitchell with 94. I don't see this being. I wouldn't have had it being that much of a blowout, but I think GP being pumped with the changes they had this year and being back in the playoffs for the first time in 6 years, I don't have it being close. GP's going to win this game 49-21. The winner gets the winner of Southwest Legacy and San Antonio Breckenridge. So those are my picks. My real picks, not that Mr. Know-It-All stuff. Like that dude, I won't be bringing back until next year. Try and keep it serious for a while. But everything I do on my page is all in good fun. Even the Mr. Know-It-All thing. I wish those of you that got triggered and left the page or get mad because I try and interact with you guys in the comments section. You don't got to leave the page. I mean, you're not hurting me. If I lose 1 or 2 followers and then I'm gaining 20 or so every day, I mean, you're not hurting me, and you're doing it for no reason because I'm just trying to make the page entertaining. You don't have to take everything so seriously all the time. Those of you that still support the page, I appreciate it. It would help though if you all would, those of you that like the page, if you appreciate it, invite your friends, hit the invite button to get more followers. Especially if you want people helping you out and backing you up in the comment section or representing your team. Get your team represented in my page. Get your friends, family, whoever you know that's a backer of the same school you are. Get them to follow the page, and then you have people to help interact with you and the people you want to debate in the comment section. I'm going to try and do another one of these this weekend. I want to do 2 a week, especially now it's just a playoffs and there's a few less teams every week. It makes it a little easier to try and get these done. Yeah, so I should put this out by today. Today's Thursday. I want to have it out before because I know there's games tonight. I want to try and edit it real quick here on my computer and see what happens, how fast I can put it out. So it's not going to be the greatest quality because I got to do this fast. But then I want to make another one of these probably Sunday, so it should be out by Monday, or like kind of as a results episode of what happened with the results from the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday games, playoff games. But those of you that still follow the page, thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. Whether you believe it or not, I do. So thank all of you for supporting the page and staying till the end of this video to watch the whole thing. I'll see you in a few days with a results video. Thank you guys.